Hey, it's Teresa from Life Beyond Diabetes, and Facebook just gave me a really weird kind of message, so I'm hoping that I'm actually live. I Last week I promised you that I was going to be live today with some information about the conference that I attended over the weekend, and my dog is trying to climb up on me. You come up here, baby. That I was going to be live telling you some information about the conference I attended, and I gotta tell you, the conference was kind of a bust. So I don't have anything to tell you about the conference other than the technology was a failure and that I didn't really learn anything new. I kind of had some things reinforced about medications that I can talk to you about a different day. But I am gonna tell you about something that I did over the weekend that really had a big impact on me in a way that was kind of surprising. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And that is that I went berry picking with my husband. And berry picking, that doesn't seem like a very big deal. I live in the Pacific Northwest and part of the United States, and in Washington State specifically. And there is a place that I have a secret spot that I like to go huckleberry picking. And gosh, my dogs are just driving me nuts right now. The place that I go, I found it about 10 years ago, and I drive about 45 minutes up the freeway, up into the mountains, the Cascade Mountains, and then another 45 minutes on this bumpy Forest Service road up into the mountains. And I was going to check the elevation before I got online today, but I forgot to check that. But I think it's at about like a 5,000 or 6,000 foot elevation. You're way up in the mountains. And keeping in mind that I live at sea level. So it's way up in the mountains, just off this Forest Service road. And I went up there, and I've been going up there again. Like I said, I first found it about 10 years ago. And the first time I went up there was with my daughter and one of her good friends. And we found just tons of huckleberries, and I just love huckleberries, and they're not something that you can just grow in your garden very easily. They're very difficult to cultivate, which is why they're kind of a delicacy around here. You have to go out and pick them, or foragers get them. And so when I found this patch, I was so overjoyed that I had this place to go huckleberry picking. So we would go up every year and go picking huckleberries. And then about 4 years ago, I went up with a friend of mine. And now I will tell you, I didn't ever tell anybody where my huckleberry picking spot was, because you don't tell. It's kind of like with mushrooms. You don't tell people where your spot is because you're afraid that everybody's going to know, and then they're going to go get your huckleberries. So I went up there about 4 years ago, and arrived there with my friend, and we got there and discovered that the foragers had been there before we were. And not just were all the huckleberries gone, I mean, there were no berries, but all the foragers had used, there's a tool, and I can't remember what it's called, but there's a tool that is used by people that are out getting huckleberries, and some people even call them poachers, because it's actually the way that they do this is not technically legal. That they go in and they just scoop up all of the huckleberries, but they also, this tool strips the leaves off of the huckleberry bushes. And I was really sad because we'd come and we'd gotten there after the foragers had come through, and there were no huckleberries. And I have a photo that I took of our haul that day. We found like 6 huckleberries left on the bushes that year. And so I didn't even try going back for a few years after that, because I knew that the bushes were so damaged that it was going to take them years to recover. And so that was 4 years ago. That was in 2016. So this last Saturday was my first trip back up into the mountains since that day, 4 years ago, with my friend. And we went up, my husband and I went up, and it was his first time up there. So he had never been up on this long Forest Service road drive with me. And it was kind of an adventure to be going up with him, and I was really excited. I didn't know what I was going to find. I didn't know if the bushes would have recovered, if we would find berries, but I knew exactly where I was going, and I was excited just to be going up into the mountains and going up there. And when we got there, in 4 years, a lot changes in the forest. So we got there, and I knew exactly where the wide spot in the road was to pull off and park, along the side, this bumpy gravel road. Pulled off to the side of the road, and right along the edge of the road, it's very dense, and you have to kind of look for a spot to get through the very dense part. And then on the other side of the very dense part, right next to the road, it kind of opens up into this an alpine meadow that's kind of marshy. And so I got through the bushes, got through the dense part and into the meadow. And my husband, followed right behind me. And I think, he was kind of doubtful that we were going to be able to get through this because it's so dense. He kind of, I think, was a little curious about whether or not there was even a meadow back there. I kept saying, no, it's back there. And I got through, and he said, okay, where's all the berries? And I looked, and there weren't any berries. And I said, follow me, let's keep looking. Let's just go there. They should be right here. Let's go. And so we wandered around a little bit, and I started seeing some blueberry bushes. Now, huckleberries are similar to blueberries, but they're a little bit different. They're a little smaller. They're a little tartar. They grow a little bit differently on the bushes. And I found some blueberry bushes, and what I discovered was that the blueberry bushes had grown back and had grown in where the huckleberries used to be. And there was no evidence that there had ever been huckleberry bushes there at all. And I was really sad because, I didn't know what I was going to find, and I wasn't sure if they were going to have recovered yet, because I knew that the foragers or the poachers or whatever we want to call them had done a lot of damage to the bushes when they had just gone through and stripped all the leaves off of stripped them bare down to their twigs. But I was expecting that they would be there. They just might not be bearing fruit yet, and they might not be very healthy yet. I didn't expect that they were going to be completely gone. And I was really angry, and I was sad and angry that they weren't there, that people had gone through and just destroyed this part of the ecosystem. That, one of the things that I loved about picking the berries was knowing that, the wildlife would also come, and, when we'd go up there, we would see evidence of bears, and we'd see other animals, and, I knew that the bears would come and eat those berries, and we don't have grizzly bears, we only have black bears, and black bears, if you make a lot of noise, they go away. I was never worried about the bears, but we, and we weren't taking a lot of the berries. We were taking some, and we always left some on the bushes. And I felt like we were responsible in our berry picking, but I was really sad that people had gone through and had changed this alpine meadow. It wasn't the same anymore. It wasn't the same as what it used to be, because people had taken what they wanted and not cared about what they were leaving behind. So, my husband and I ended up going for a short little hike. We ended up, my place is right near the Pacific Crest Trail, so we hiked a little ways on the Pacific Crest Trail, just a very short ways. We did find a lovely huckleberry bush. We were able to get, or not a huckleberry bush, I'm sorry, a blueberry bush. We were able to get a nice little bounty of some blueberries that we were able to bring home. We did not see a single huckleberry. It wasn't, the day wasn't lost. I did have a lovely day. But I have to say, it's kind of, it's been almost a week, and I'm still thinking about this. And earlier today I was thinking, why am I still thinking about this a week later? What is it about this thing that is so upsetting to me a week later? Because, it's not like the sun doesn't rise and set over huckleberries in my life. It's not that big of a deal. And I think what it is I'm going way metaphorical on huckleberries here, I think, but I've been thinking a lot about what are the unintended consequences of the decisions that we make that we think aren't that big of a deal and have huge consequences down the road. And then I was thinking, well, what am I doing with my health? The things that the decisions that I'm making that make huge consequences down the road. And And, I think a lot about compound effects. And, when I make a little decision that I do every day, and how either that little decision that I do every day can add up to fantastic results or can add up to very detrimental things. So when I'm choosing to skip that chocolate snack that maybe I like a little piece of chocolate every day, what's that doing long-term to my blood sugar over time? If I'm just adding that one little sweet thing, that might be raising my blood sugar a little bit, and that might be a little bit harmful. That might be increasing a little bit of weight every day. But what if I decide not to do that? What if I decide to go for a longer walk with my dogs every day? What are these long-term effects having? So something little, or that might seem insignificant in my life, I'm sure that the foragers did not consider that they were making dramatic changes to the ecosystem of that part of the Cascade Mountains when they were there taking those berries, and they were there stripping those berry bushes. They didn't think about the long-term consequences of how that was going to affect. What things do I need to be taking into consideration of the things that are going to affect my life? Small decisions that might have big, longer ranging impact on my life. So, a little bit of navel gazing, I guess, about huckleberries, but that's what I've been thinking about this week. So, as always, I love to hear feedback. First of all, have you ever heard of huckleberries, and do you love them like I love them? Would you drive an hour and a half to go find over a bumpy Forest Service road to go in quest of huckleberries? And, because huckleberries, I think, are the best thing in the world. That's the first question I have for you. And the second question I have for you is, what are some little decisions that you might be making that don't feel like big decisions, but might have a really major impact on something you're doing in your life later down the road that you might either need to be doing more of or doing less of? So anyway, a little bit of navel gazing over huckleberries. And the third thing is I have a not large, but a small haul of blueberries. And of course, I'm always looking for great recipes. So if you have something you love to do with not huckleberries, because I do not have them, blueberries, please tell me your favorite blueberry recipe. You can leave that in the comments or send me a direct message. And I will see you back here next Thursday, and I'll be talking about something that's more diabetes related. I promise I will come up with something more diabetes related. Let me know if you have any specific diabetes questions. See you back here next Thursday at 2:30. Bye.